State football-wise. I don't know what's going to get your pulse going. And I did a little digging. I did a little bit of looking around because I thought, there was once upon a time in this world that we lived in with the Titans that it seemed like there were all these 7-2 starts. So the Titans are 7-2. They're the best record in the AFC. As Blaine Bishop joins us with a jacket in the studio. It's colder than usual in here today.
Yeah, I had
he
to
just ran a
jacket.
40-yard dash to the parking lot and
man.
back.
Well, then I forgot my key, which is my phone. I had to do it twice. Ooh, so if I'm breathing out of breath, you know why.
Well, I was talking about this. Titans are if people aren't buzzing about football in the state of Tennessee right now, then you don't have a pulse because the way things are going. The Vols won one of the wilder games I've ever seen on Saturday night. This is a Vol Network station. I know some of you work for other SEC teams. By the way, there's only a quarter of the college football season left. It's 3 games. That's how fast that thing goes by.
Yeah.
So that's what it does. It even makes that noise when it goes by. But
faster than high school in the playoffs.
Oh, man. Yeah, the high school season is the fastest. High school football is the fastest season of anything. You blink and it's gone. I mean, you blink and it's the playoffs. And then, if you don't win, and then it's all over for you. So congrats to everybody who's still playing football right now. That's a big deal. Mm-hmm. But Titans are still playing. They're 7-2. So, Blaine, here's what I thought. Sometimes we have these discussions about the past, and we're like, was that this guy or this guy? Was that the year that this happened or that happened? Did we lose that game or did they lose that game?
That's me for sure.
Right. And sometimes I know, and then sometimes I don't know. Well, so I thought, okay, 7-2 starts. Do you know? I passed Rep Ryan in the hall. I said, and Lucas Panzica, jump over here. You're in this. Do you know how many? Because the Titans are 7-2. Do you know how many times the Tennessee Titans have started at least 7-2? Not the Oilers, the Tennessee Titans. So
3.
What do you say, Lucas?
I can only think of 2008 with the 10-0 start. I'm going to say 2.
This is the 5th time.
Wow.
Oh, I was closest. I beat you.
Man, we really
since you're keeping
didn't give a
count.
lot of credit to the Titans there.
But listen to this. 99.
Mm-hmm, that's what I was thinking.
Do you remember what you started in 99? How many before you lost your 3rd game? Do you remember what you were? Because I'm just looking at a 2 on the losing column.
We were 7-2.
You got to 9-2.
Oh, 9-2. Okay.
You got to 9-2. In 2000, do you know what you got to?
Oh man, we were pretty good then. Oh man, I thought that team was better. I mean, we start off early, depending on who we played. I'd say we started 8-3.
9-2 again. You got all the way to 9-2 before.
That's why I was counting. That's why I said 3. Then I said the 08, as Lucas said. So I was thinking 3 for sure of teams that started that way. 2 of them I was on.
2 of them you were on. So then a bunch of people, because I was talking to a buddy of mine on the phone who's a Titans fan, I said, how many Titans teams have been 7-2? He goes, I know one thing. He said, I know 2002 was. I said, actually, that's wrong. That was the year the Titans went all the way out and played in the AFC Championship game against the Raiders.
But they started off 1-4.
And 6-5 before they won all the rest of their games all the way to the championship. So 99, 9-2, 2000, 9-2, 2003 they started 9-2, and that was the year they got all the way to New England and lost in the freezing cold game that you were there covering.
Yeah, that was my first year out.
When McNair threw that really high pass that went right through, Drew Bennett had made this unbelievable catch, and
like the couple plays before that.
Yes,
and then this one was the easier that he should have caught. No doubt about it. But, hey, man, that ground was like a brick.
You've told me about how cold it was at that game.
Oh, it was cold, but the ground was like, what is this? There was no traction. It was frozen. That was horrible.
I can't imagine. But they went 9-2 that year.
Yeah, there was no turf.
Here's the anomaly season, though. The one that nobody ever – people think – I guess Titans fans of a certain age would think about it. Younger fans maybe who may have been a little kid for those early Titans teams. The 2008 team started 12-2.
Yeah, that's why I said 2018.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to win it out. That was the playoff game where Chris Johnson got hurt at right before halftime.
They held him up and twisted his foot off of his leg.
His ankle or something. Yeah, it was Ray Lewis and those guys. Yeah. Yeah, and that killed it. Yeah, that team there was the team. And now this is the team of the latest that you say they have a realistic shot of the FB and doing some serious damage, some serious work.
And they're doing it. And we talked about this yesterday, the Sunday Night Football crew saying this late in the game. They've had 77 guys on the roster. It's the most in the NFL.
I saw that 67 is the next closest.
Yeah, they're 10 more than anybody else, and they're about 10 off of the record. And we're halfway through the season, and it's a 17-game season, so Lord knows what we're going to see by the end of this thing.
Yeah, that's real commendable to not only the players, but the coaching staff and Vrabel and crew, man. And JR to that point, I mean, bringing in the right players that fit and can come in and pick up the system, and which takes some acumen, football acumen to do that. So, yeah, it's impressive. We shall see what we got going on these next 2 or 3 weeks because you got to play up to that level continuously over and over again. And I know everybody's looking at their schedule and saying that it's a weak part of the schedule, and it's still a weak schedule based off of teams that they play. The Jaguars were weak. They beat the Bills. Yeah, they beat the Bills. So that's not a gimme. No gimmies. There are none in the NFL. I'm sorry if you don't, and this is really how the mindset of players are, and that's really what I'm giving you, and that's because if you think that you got a gimme, then you're gonna get got.
Right.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
But players don't think that way. There's all these graphics right now. Even 2 weeks ago, before
the players are being informed with all the media asking them questions like that.
Right.
Oh, really? Well, just like point spread. They have no idea. They're not paying attention. They don't have time for that. We're going to win every game.
Sure. This was in my notes a couple of weeks ago. The Titans, even with the remaining game against the Rams and, who was the week before?
The Colts?
Rams and the Colts, even with those two games, the Titans still had the easiest remaining schedule. So I saw another reporter tweeted out today, Titans' strength of schedule.
Off of, win percentages.
Titans' strength of schedule, the lowest for remaining games. So Titans fans are like, I'm going to win all the rest of them. Hey, man, you got to chill out.
Who all do we have?
Pittsburgh, New England.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I took a glimpse of the Steelers, and I know what New England's been doing. If they get some receivers around them, I wouldn't be surprised they go after OBJ.
He's going to be a free agent about an hour and 57 minutes.
A lot of people be like, nah, no way. Well, if they got a receiver and, and Bill is the type to go after low-hanging fruit when you can get them for cheap, even if it's a rental, he didn't give up anything, perfect for him. He's definitely inquiring. Because they get one more receiver. I think, man, the Jones kid is playing pretty solid.
Yep.
If you watch him, he's doing okay. That's a dangerous team. Up there too? Oh, yeah, old Bill's going to be pumped up because old Vrabel got him last time.
Sure did, in the playoffs.
Yeah, and they made him look kind of bad.
So you got to go to New England. You got to go to Pittsburgh. That game's at Pittsburgh. And they still got T.J. Watt and all those people. I mean.
Claypool?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Right.
Najee Harris, I know a lot of people know that name.
Yeah.
Yeah, running back from Alabama.
At their place. Yeah, so, hey, man.
Those not gimmies. Even 2 times the Texans and 1 more Jaguars. I cannot buy in to the gimme. The gimme is my preparation. Just like we're playing the best team. That don't mean you're going to win either.
Yeah.
That depends on who's healthy, who's not. I mean, I as much as I applauded Bobby Hart at the tackle, they can't think they're going to go through that gauntlet and he's going to be the guy. Because the unknown is, where is Lawan? And if he is there, will he be there on game day? Forget practice. I just want game day performance.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have him practice. Do the walkthrough. How you feeling on Friday? Move around a little bit. Make sure you can go Sunday. Sorry, Charlie. I can't be having my. Well, I don't know what he makes. 18 millions. I'm gonna say 18 million. I don't know what the number is. 15. But I can't have him stand on the sideline talking about he's gonna be an emergency. I've never seen such. Remember, I kept on saying about Marcus when they benched him. I said, hey, man, I'm putting that guy in. Hey, we're paying him $15, $20 million. He can do a play or two. And they started doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, can't be let a guy just collecting checks just because he got outperformed. Well, let's do something. It's no different than any other player. Put him on special teams then. What are you going to do? Tell you no? Meanwhile, he making $15 million. No, he gotta he gotta do something, man. If you good enough, there's an old adage too, which is surprising. You dress, there's a possibility you will play, even though you're injured, because they try to sell you on, just be the backup.
Right.
One more guy got hurt. He was out there.
Yeah. It would have been that emergency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're good enough to dress, you're good enough to play. So I don't know, man. That was a weird one for me, especially the type of money that these guys make today. Lakey was making, $800,000, 18 million. Whatever his number is, but it's up there. He's up there. So yeah, I gotta make sure he's there, because man. And Tannehill, they need to, not only does the offense, I'm getting on a tangent here, but about the offense, they need to not only figure out how they're going to implement this running game, which it should be pretty fast. I think one more game, they'll be all right. But they got to figure out the passing game. I'll be dang if you think you're going to win some games, you don't throw a pass over 15 yards. I'm sorry. That is not going to work. I think you said the most 16 yards. Yeah. No can do. It will not happen. I can cover them with that and have no shot of covering any of them guys. Cannot do that. You got to threaten. I've said this numerous times, numerous years. You got to threaten the field down the field vertically if you want to have a shot, even if it's incomplete. I've been there. I've been back there. Mm-hmm. I know what it'll make me do. And you do it early. The sooner the better.
Sure.
Let them know, hey, we coming after y'all. Let's go. You better get, and then all of a sudden you start easing further and further back. But guess what? When you don't do that, you don't threaten them, guess what I start doing? Creeping further and further up. Now the coverage becomes tighter and harder to complete. Mm-hmm. And, oh, by the way, I kept talking about they were throwing them, Sideways. This is not college. Sorry. Stop that. Now, I'm saying that only because they don't have jitterbug receivers.
Right.
Because those guys can make something out of nothing in a short space.
Sure. Tyreek Hill.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How tall is Tyreek Hill? Just make a guess. Doesn't matter.
It's at 5'8".
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How much have they talked about how tall all our receivers are? Yeah. Use them then. Use them down the field. Let them use their physicality. And guess what? Taller receivers, takes them a minute to get going. Mm-hmm. Get going. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, get going. Don't throw a slant all the time because you're afraid of the protection. We'll leave people in. Let them get downfield. See if they can make a play. You throw it up high. If a guy that's 5'10", 6 feet right there on a 6'3", 6'4" receiver, I put my money on the receiver. Mm-hmm. Throw it up there.
Especially when the guy can't touch him.
Mm-hmm. And, oh, by the way, take some notes. Take notes when you're watching other teams. How about when you took notes when you played the Colts? Mm-hmm. Oh, them lollipop balls? Yeah. Well, you don't have to throw them lollipop, Tannehill. You got a good arm. Yeah. Throw it on the money. Let them go get it. Yeah. You see their philosophy. Offensive coordinator, former quarterback in this league. He knows what it's like to be back there. You got to throw them, even if they're not open. Yeah. They get a pass interference.
Mm-hmm. Get several of them.
You got to do it. They're going to have to. So that'll change eventually as time goes on. Don't throw them on sideways balls. And they were worried about the pass rush. I get it. But you got to threaten them some kind of way. 1, 2, 3, and let it go. 40 yards, he's downfield, 50 yards, and let it go. See what happens.
Oh, the Hitman preaching. Talked a lot of Titans this week. Let's talk some Vols. Let's do that next. Mike Wilson of the Knoxville News Sentinel talking Tennessee on the other side of the break on Blaine and Mickey.
The Titans are back home and have a game Sunday against the Drew Brees-less New Orleans Saints. Mike Keith and Coach Mack have the call. Okay. Kickoff is Sunday at noon on your flagship for Titans Radio. 104.5 The Zone.
So the NFL assistant manager or something around here.
Yeah.
What,
It's because he didn't tell me my haircut looked good that I threw him under the bus like that.
What is that?
It's
Wow.
okay.
This took a
Whoa.
turn.
Next time, Lucas, I'll tell you look like a Circuit City general manager. Or
There
something.
you go. There you go.
No.
Get him, Mike. Get him, Mike. Get him, Mike.
Oh, damn it. It's so accurate.
Oh, man. This is, wow. This is just, wow.
Well, well, that's a good segue into just like that was so good to listen to. How about that Kentucky Tennessee game? How good was that to watch? Have you ever watched a game like that, Mike?
Exactly like that. No,
Man,
I think
that was fun.
Yeah, I've covered some back and forths like that came down to that final kind of minute. One like that with the time of possession imbalance, kind of the crazy nature of Tennessee's long touchdowns and the things that went down. I mean, it was unique in a lot of ways in that sense. You don't typically see a game where a team possesses the ball for less than 15 minutes and somehow wins. So it was pretty weird.
Yeah, I was really surprised, Mike. I don't know about you, that the defense, I predicted they would win, and pretty much a blowout is what I said. And I thought the defense would play better than what they did. What were your observations of the defense besides at the end of the game when they came up with 3 sacks and then actually, Taylor with the interception?
Yeah, the defense looked basically the same as it did going into the bye, the open week there. It looked the same. And third down struggles have been a thing for the past month. Ole Miss really killed Tennessee on third down, so did Alabama. And Kentucky did as well. I think they started 7 of 8, 10 of 12. I think they finished 12 of 17, if I'm not mistaken. And that was the story to me, is that Tennessee just hasn't been able to get off the field defensively. And Kentucky's a team that they're not very explosive other than Wan'Dale Robinson. So they're not going to really beat you deep and with a lot of big chunks. So they need to build drives. And, Tennessee had a lot of opportunities to get off the field, but didn't really do so. And that was why Kentucky stayed in that game.
Man, you know what? I was watching Taylor and with his interception, and then he did his shimmy dance, and I think all the players were thinking about, the cookies that they were going to get, right? I'm sure that's what they were thinking anyway. But man, then I saw him go into the injury tent. Did he get hurt doing the shimmy, or was I misseeing things?
I think he did leave for a few plays following that, so I'm not sure what happened. I hope he didn't pull an Anthony Richardson and hurt himself dancing.
No, he came back in the game eventually, but yeah.
Yeah, you can't have multiple guys hurt themselves dancing in the SEC in the same weekend. That's just too far.
No, that we're on with Mike Wilson, the legendary by Mike Wilson there, Mickey.
That's right, Knoxville
Lucas.
News Sentinel. So you didn't like Lucas's haircut. The only reason I can think of that Hendon Hooker didn't have the job going, maybe Josh Heupel didn't like his haircut, because this guy's been a revelation for this team. And obviously they didn't see enough in spring practice. They still bring in Milton that they didn't see enough in fall camp, and they start Milton. And then eventually Milton gets hurt, and that opens the door for Hendon Hooker. And holy cow, has that guy been good.
Yeah, I think it was funny. I was talking to people after the season opener where Milton, missed those deep throws and kind of was inconsistent against Bowling Green. And my thought then was the same as it kind of was during the preseason, which was Hendon Hooker gives you a chance to win. I think Tennessee has the skill players around the quarterback to win enough games, especially with this offense and the way that it plays. But I get it with Milton. I mean, just the physical attributes, the tantalizing arm. I mean, the thing that coaches have been in love with about him since he was in 10th grade, basically, those exist. But Hendon Hooker, he's not the flashiest. He's not the huge arm, rocket arm guy. He's not an absolute burner, but he just makes plays. He's one of those guys that goes in there and gets the job done, and you know what you're going to get from him. And I think that's what everyone has seen at Tennessee and in the media and watching him play, is you pretty much know you're going to get a steady performance from Hendon Hooker. And that's all you need at quarterback in this offense, is somebody's going to get the job done.
And it's funny, Mike, because Heupel, sweet mother of pearl, I mean, he has schemed up open deep shots on everybody all year. And Milton missed, like in the Pittsburgh game, they missed three touchdowns or so. Hendon Hooker hits those plays. And the other thing is, we had heard, Milton's a big guy and he can be a runner. To me, he looked reluctant to run, and Hooker picks his spots and just goes. He's an eager runner when the opportunity presents itself, so within the system even. But his ability to hit the deep throws, which they always have, and to also just run when the opportunity presents itself. Those two things have really stood out to me.
And he runs hard too.
Yeah.
He's a tough runner. And I do think that you nailed the thing with Milton there. A little bit reluctant, but more so, he doesn't run physically, especially for someone as big as he is. Whereas Hendon Hooker spins and opens himself up to a lot of hits he doesn't need to take, but he goes for those extra yards and makes those plays. And that's what he's been. He's been a playmaker through the air and on the ground. And that's why Tennessee's having a lot of the offensive success that it's having, is that Hendon Hooker has been so consistent and reliable week in and week out since he became the starting quarterback.
Consistent and reliable week in, week out. That's Mike Wilson. He's our guest from the Knoxville News Sentinel at by Mike Wilson. Read his work there on Twitter.
Yes, where are we at, Mike, I guess, with the injuries, especially the running back and key positions, players that are participating, the tight end as well?
I think the comment about an injury every single day and every single media availability all year has been, we'll know more later in the week, is the Josh Heupel line. Tends to not really comment on those things. But, yeah, Tennessee's running back position is kind of wild. They haven't really had Jabari Small and Tyon Evans healthy at the same time almost at all this season. It's kind of been one of them in each game, little spurts with both of them. But both those guys have been banged up. You saw Evans re-injure that ankle at Kentucky, and Small's been battling a shoulder injury since, I believe, Pittsburgh. So long injury there. I think Evans was South Carolina where he hurt it. So it's been about a month now as well. But yeah, Tennessee hasn't had the running backs they thought they were going to have, but they're still finding success there.
No doubt about it. I guess, how big of a win against Kentucky is this in its first season of Heupel's era, I guess?
It depends on how you want to look at Kentucky. It's such a funny one. Alontae Taylor made that comment last week about Tennessee doesn't lose to Kentucky.
Right.
That's something he knows. But Tennessee has been losing to Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 2-2 over the previous 4 entering this one. So, and before that, it was like 31 of 32 or something to that effect. So Tennessee historically doesn't, but this Kentucky team isn't the Kentucky teams in the 1980s, 1990s. And this Tennessee team and recent Tennessee teams isn't the 1990s Tennessee either. I think it's a big win. Anytime you're going on the road, beating a top 25 team in your first year as a head coach, especially against a program that is well-established and plays a tough brand of football, that's significant. And I don't think there's any other way to look at it. It shouldn't be dismissed as, it's Kentucky. It's not an old-time Kentucky. Kentucky plays a difficult brand of football.
You got to be excited if you're a Tennessee fan and what Heupel and those guys are doing in this first season. But, man, I'm trying to figure out, are they the second best, dare I say it, second best team in the SEC East today?
Today, you can definitely make that argument. Florida, obviously, Tennessee went down there and lost 38-14. But that Florida team doesn't look anything like the one that's playing right now. Just really playing a pretty lousy brand of football. Going to South Carolina and losing that way, regardless of illness, sickness, whatever was going on there. That's a hard loss to defend. That's not a good South Carolina team. So certainly I think you can make the case that Tennessee is playing the second best football of any team in the SEC East, but I don't know if that makes you necessarily the second best team in the division as much as that's just the way you're playing right now.
Well, Doomsday is right around the corner. That is this weekend. What can this offense do, though? I think they're going to give – I think this offense can get the greatest defense's trouble, just how it's set up and the pace that they go. But, man, how do you see this playing out versus Georgia?
Yeah, I think the best comparison I can make here is our Circuit City general manager, Lucas, here is like he's staring down Black Friday. That's what Tennessee is looking at with Georgia here. Yeah, nice. The one thing Tennessee does have going for it is the offense is kind of the great equalizer, but there's not a defense like Georgia that they've seen or are going to see. This is, once every 5 to 10 years caliber of talent that we're seeing, especially up front with guys like Jordan Davis and the way that Georgia plays. It's a terrifying defense to go up against. And Tennessee's line, I think, has been spotty at points. They are healthier than they have been. They had their expected starting lineup for the 3rd time this season against Kentucky, but I still think they're susceptible there. And that's a really brutal matchup. So, I mean, Tennessee might be able to put up some points, but it's going to look a lot different for them trying to get those points, I think.
Do you think it's going to look somewhat comparable to the Bama team that they played?
No, this defense for Georgia is definitely better than Alabama's defense by what I think is a considerable margin. But yeah, I think Tennessee's going to have problems up front. I think that's pretty clear. I'm curious to see how Josh Heupel dials it up. I mean, we've seen him be pretty smart with play calling and schematics of everything they're doing. But I mean, Georgia kind of beats you up in all phases defensively and makes it really tough to move the ball at all, let alone score. So, and the kicker here too is they're not giving up chunk plays. And Tennessee's offense is predicated on chunk plays, and Georgia's not giving those up. Kentucky was very susceptible to chunk plays. Their secondary is pretty weak. So it's a very different test when you're talking about Georgia.
We're on with the by Mike Wilson, Knoxville News Sentinel.
So I was looking this morning. They give up less than 7 points per game, and the most anybody scored on them is 13 twice. It was South Carolina of all teams and Kentucky. So, Mike, if you hang 14 on these jokers, you've done something that no one has done this year. 14.
Which is saying something about this team. And until they played Kentucky, it was just South Carolina, which is kind of the mind-blowing stat that South Carolina had outscored Clemson, which is bad. Yeah. But at the time, we thought it was a good team. Yeah, I mean, putting up points is not something that teams do against Georgia. I mean, Tennessee to get more than 13 is going to have to hit downfield throws. I mean, we've seen what Javonte Payton does in the first quarter. Tennessee needs those type of plays if you're going to score on this Georgia team, because you're not going to string together long drives. You're not going to get 4 first downs to move the ball down the field. But that's also not what Tennessee wants to do offensively. They want to beat you. They want to throw downfield and beat you. Run the ball, but beat you with chunk plays. So Tennessee's got to find a way to hit those to stay in this game at all. And certainly defensively is something we got to look at too, because Tennessee's defense has got to get off the field. I mean, 100 plays against Kentucky is absolutely insane. I mean, Blaine, you ever play 100 snaps in a single college football game?
Never in college, only 2 in the pros.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a thing that you see happen. So Tennessee's defense needs a little bit of help from the offense too, but that's also a tall thing to ask.
Latest transfer portal guy. I heard the transfer portal noise and looked on Twitter, and it was Morvin Joseph. It just seemed like that just never could work for some reason.
Yeah, came in as an outside backer, played there the first half of last season as a reserve. 2 years ago, 1 year ago. Yeah, anyway, he played outside backer for kind of the first half of his first season and then spent some time at inside, and yeah, just never fully clicked. And in this scheme, kind of one of those tweener guys of inside outside, didn't really click that way. I think he only played in 2 games this season before entering the portal yesterday.
So where are we with do you think we'll see more players, maybe not a lot of players, but at some point after the season trickle out because they're not getting any playing time? I mean, a small number, but do you think we'll see more?
I think that's going to become more and more prevalent. I mean, I think these in-season portal jumps are going to become more prevalent too because of the early signing period. Like you look at Harrison Bailey jumping in the portal during the open week. I mean, that to me is making yourself available before coaches finish up their recruiting classes. And I think we're going to see more and more of that. So, yeah, I mean, I think players who think that they need to get out or need to change are going to start doing that faster and faster. And I do think that's a consequence of the early signing period that maybe wasn't expected, but probably should have been looking back on it now. So, yeah, I think you'll see that. And I think there will be some guys for Tennessee that jump out, but they're certainly going to continue to bring guys in too. I mean, you look at the transfers that have made impacts here this season as well.
Yeah. Where are we at with, recruiting for UT to help them, get to that next level? Because they're always talking about depth. Well, only the first 2 strings look like they're the only ones playing. So their first 2 strings look pretty solid. So I'm interested to see, where's the recruiting go from here with their success that they're having?
Yeah, certainly Vols coaches hit the recruiting trail during the open week. I think Thursday, Friday, that Saturday, they were out and about spending some time recruiting. So that's an important thing. And you also go out there with some momentum. I mean, you've shown the brand you're going to play at this point at Tennessee, not just well, here's what it looked like there, but here's what it looks like here. Uh, Not a lot of commitments lately, but in season typically is that way as well, with not a lot of guys jumping on board necessarily. Nolan, the local kid here, committing to Texas A&M as a 5-star defensive lineman. That's someone Tennessee would have loved to have, obviously. So that was a blow this week. But yeah, I mean, that's good. Ben, the question about Hype was how well is his staff going to recruit? And they're certainly putting some things on tape that have to be enticing toward offensive players. And on the counterpoint, it's interesting to see the defensive tape they're putting out there too, because you could argue they play kind of an exciting brand of defensive football too, with getting vertical, getting into the backfield, and getting tackles for loss.
Mike Wilson, our guest. Hey, before we let you go, I know Tennessee fans have been so ready for basketball the last few years because of how football's gone. We're still talking about football, obviously, because there's so much to play for. But Rick Barnes and the crew have snuck up on us, and they get started tonight, number 18 in the country. You excited to start seeing these basketballs in action?
I love basketball season. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something that I've covered since I was hired at the News Sentinel. Love covering college basketball. So yeah, and it should be an interesting team to watch. I mean, on paper, it's better built than last year's team was. Even if you argue that last year's team had more raw talent, this team kind of lines up better from 1 to 5. And they're shooting the ball. I mean, there's almost a Josh Heupel offensive effect going on over at Thompson Bowling Arena of a run and gun and shoot the ball from deep going on with Rick Barnes' bunch too.
Just hope Folky can get his thumbs all working.
It's tough being old. I can speak to that too. Aches and pains and easier to get hurt. I think that's what John Fulkerson's experiencing a little bit. Is it's tough getting up there in years.
Yeah, I know it's tough for you, Mike, in your older years.
Yes, Mike. I agree. Lucas is still in there recovering from just you crushing him at the beginning of this interview, but he'll be okay.
I've not recovered.
He's still not recovered. But Mike, you're the best.
Okay.
We love talking with you.
Yeah,
Follow Mike
always.
for all the latest. I'm sure you'll be reporting on the basketball stuff tonight at by Mike Wilson on Twitter and Knoxville News Sentinel. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Good back, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. A big-time receiver might have found himself a home. Lucas Panzica just passed along a little
Not
info.
a home or prioritizing where he wants to go.
Well, maybe some of that. We'll tell you about that next. And also, Stephen Mount Juliet wants to jump in the mix on the phone. We'll do that as well. If you want to jump in, Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, open line 615-737-1045.
Live interaction with other listeners while watching your favorite Zone shows. It's 104.5 The Zone TV live on YouTube and Twitch.
has prioritized the Green Bay Packers as his number one destination should he clear waivers. Well, his contract, that rascal's about to clear waivers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
They're going to get him for pennies on the dollar. That's why I said New England seems like a good spot, because that's exactly what Bill can deal with, the big personality for half of a season.
right. He just treats everybody like the same, you know. Okay.
And he's not paying them much.
Right.
Yeah, I'll get you. Well, maybe they will pay him more than league minimum, but he's like, hey, man, you already collected like $14 million.
Sure.
And by the way, we looked up LeWan. You said he's making $13 million this year, right?
Yeah, Trey in the Zone TV chat said Lawan is making. So we were having this discussion earlier. I didn't go on Sunday. We were trying to figure out what his contract was for this year. Trey says $13.39 million this year for Taylor Lewan.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So next year it's like 14 and change, but his dead cap is 1.7.
Yeah,
It's basically 13 million savings if he were not to be on the team next year. And that's going to be a conversation that gets had in a bunch of offices down there. It has to.
Oh, yeah, as I said before, earlier this season when he missed games.
And people lost their mind over that. Well, don't lose your mind over it. It's the economic league. This everything, money.
As talented as he is, you know, and I know he's really talented. But you start looking back at the data, and it's going to tell you that you're winning games without him. You had a 2,000-yard rusher last year without him. The majority of the season.
Yeah.
Then you come back and say, well, dang, we win a game. Now, do you like the way you went in, or did it make you have to do some different things on offense? Well, hopefully, you know, those things get fixed with maybe a better technique this guy develops, or you're going to have to go in free agency or draft another tackle. So that'll be 3 years in a row of a first 2-round tackle.
What did you say that again? You're going to have to do what?
Draft a
Are you seriously? I thought we were
free
friends.
agency. That's why I said free agency first. They draft.
I thought we were friends. You know what kind of. You know, I threatened to throw a brick through my TV if they took a tackle in the first round last year. Son of a gun. They did wait till the second. I'm not saying it this year because I think you're right.
Yeah, but they're going to need Lewan, so got to get him. Hey, man, don't practice at the end of the week. Just run around or something. Let the backup guy get some reps, and then if you can go on Thursday or Friday, you know, then, you know, we'll know where you're at. At least the guy got some serious reps working with the ones. That's tough sledding there, man. And when the guy's just sitting there as a backup, and then he gets no reps, and all of a sudden on Saturday, you go, oh, I can't go. What?
Sunday night. Hey, man, sorry.
Yeah, those big men need reps. They can't sit there and say, oh, I have mental reps. Nah, that's not how it works down in the trenches. They got to get their reps.
Well, he may have to go on that same kind of schedule that Saffold has been on for long periods of time, like you said, where it's like, hey, man, you're just not practicing.
On Wednesdays,
yeah,
for
sorry,
sure.
man, not practicing. Go sit. You can watch. Ain't no practicing.
Mm-hmm. Because we know he can do that.
Sure. He's been doing it for a while, apparently, for a minute. Hey, man, sorry, Lewan, don't practice. Every time your foot hits the ground, it needs to be in a meaningful situation for us, not on a Wednesday. You know?
Yeah, emergency situation. Had there ever been another player under Vrabel that was a starter who was in an emergency situation?
Did he say that about one guy this year? Wasn't there a game? Was it Lewan again?
No, what?
But it was Dupree.
Oh, it was
Dupree.
Yeah.
Dressed and didn't play. Emergency. Thank you, Lucas.
It was
Maybe
early
the Colts
season.
game?
Lucas
The
says
first Colts game?
like a hard drive that we store stuff
Here
on.
at home, huh? Mm-hmm.
Let's get Steve was kind enough to hold. He's been waiting. Steve in Mount Juliet will join us next. I don't know if he wants to talk about this, but what's going on, Steve?
Hi, guys. Long-time listener, first-time caller. How you doing?
Man,
Hey,
thanks so
doing
much.
great,
Appreciate
man.
you.
You got the pipes.
No problem. Hey, I'm going to talk about A.J. Brown. Is he, re-injured his hamstring again? The reason why I ask is because there are at least 2 catchable balls that he should have caught that would have kept drives alive in the first half and would have kept the offense at least on some semblance of ticking. Those are the kind of catches he would have made last year. Now, looking at the replays, they weren't gimmies, but those are catches he would have made.
Yeah, you think it
I'm
has to do
going
with
to
his
hang up
hamstring?
and listen to your comments.
No,
Okay,
do you think it
Steve.
has to do with his hamstring? But there's nothing wrong with his hands.
The first half would have.
I think Steve has faded into the abyss there.
Oh.
He was listening to the radio again.
Um,
That's not a hamstring issue.
Well, I mean, he's having, the dropsies. Here's what happens when you're an elite player like him. you're trying to bypass and go, okay, well, he's going to make a big play for us. So, it's really just a concentration deal. That's it. That's it. We've seen him make spectacular catches he had no business catching.
Yep.
And then he goes drop, he's had to drop this year in certain moments. Nothing is glaring, but you say, oh, man, that would have been a first down.
Yes.
Well,
Two of those on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. And luckily it didn't cost us.
Yeah.
But it will start being emphasized more if it does cost us. It's because he's giving you big plays. So you got to teeter the fence and just say, when you're going through film and you're the receiver coach, you're saying, you rewind it and go, oh, okay, well, what happened here? And then you can't say anything besides I dropped it. And you go, okay, well, we got to work on concentration. Got to work on concentration, and then you keep moving. That's it. You don't want to kind of continually hit on it all over, especially a superstar player, because then he'll start second-guessing himself and then double catching and making mistakes. So you've seen him make great catches. You're just trying to eliminate these lapses of concentration. See, and then young players sometimes who want to do the right thing, it really affects them. I think that's what happened to Dez, what's the rookie, Fitzpatrick, or what's his last name?
Yes, Fitzpatrick.
I think that's what happened to him, see? Yep. And then he's a younger player, and he had no resume to back him up here as a player to say, oh, I'm going to make some spectacular catches, but in the meantime, I'm having some drops. Nope, run it again. Oop, dropped it again. Oh, run it again. Oops, dropped. Don't run it again. Just go stand over there.
Yeah.
See, it got in his head.
Yeah.
So that's what you don't want with your superstar, because they still have mental lapses. I just don't want them to be emphasized so much, but bring attention. That's it.
Keep it moving. We got to keep it moving. Hour number 2 coming up with us. Coach Mack in the 2 o'clock hour. Also, your phone calls. I know we got people on hold. We can get those in the first segment of the next hour, and we will do that. This is Blaine and Mickey on 104.5 The Zone.
Don't even think about telling Buck Rising about trap games.
And in what world? If you're somebody who legitimately believes in the idea of a trap game after years and years of watching NFL football, frankly, I question your judgment as a sports fan. Teams lose to teams that are better than them because trap games don't exist.
The Buck Rising Show. Tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
There are just special sports moments as his number one destination should he clear waivers per sources.
Well, I'm sure his agent
Jordan
put that out
Schultz. Yes, he did. That's where that comes from. His agent. Jordan Schultz and said, let it be known.
I'm sure it'll be a nice little small list.
Green Bay.
Saints, the Patriots. There's a handful of teams that could go for a receiver. Even West Coast teams like the Rams. They could go for a guy like him on that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who stood out at receiver for them? They?
Well, what Woods and
really
Cup.
Good players.
Yeah, Woods and Cup are the guys. Cup has just had a great statistical season, but OBJ is still a different kind of cat. Some contender is going to get better with him.
Yeah.
I mean, some contender.
They want to deal with him, yeah.
Yep. Some contenders going to get better. Speaking of contenders, Titans 7-2. We started the show with this today. I got real curious just because I was thinking, okay, how many times have the Titans gone at least 7-2? Because I thought it seems like at one point that was an every year thing, which it basically was. I'll share this. But I asked Lucas and Blaine, and both of you guys kind of underguessed that this is the fifth time that they've done it. It's the fifth time they've started 7-2. They haven't done it since 2008.
Hey, that was one of my guesses. 2008, 2 years I played. That was right.
Yeah, you were right.
2 more times.
You got all three of the years. Yes, technically you only missed 1 year, and that was not 08. It was 03. So the Titans have started at least 7-2, well, including this year, 5 times. The 4 other times were this. In 99, Blaine's team started 9-2.
Blaine's team.
And you were on that team. In 2000, Blaine's team, the Tennessee Titans, started 9-2 again. A lot of people say the 2002 team was that team was even better than the 99 team, which I know the 99 team went to the Super Bowl, but by gosh, the 2000 team.
See, this is where people look at how far you went and think that team is better. The 99 team wasn't even better than the 2000 team.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close. We lose to the Ravens.
Dang, Ravens.
Oh, man. Yeah, the 2000 team was the best team.
2000's team had the guy that you consider the best defensive player of the modern Titans era on it. 99 didn't. By that time, they'd gotten KB. Mm-hmm. And like you said, they were like, hey, man, we got 3 linebackers who start. We got to find a way to get this dude on the field.
Oh, every time he got on the field, he made a play. I mean, I'm talking about a big, impactful play. It was like, uh-oh. I went in there to Eddie Robinson, hey, which one of y'all getting benched? And that's exactly how he responded. Like, not me.
I remember you
not me.
You said, man, he was so good. They had to invent a scheme to get the extra backer on the field.
They called it extra backer.
I said, what they call it? And you said, extra backer.
He came in and they put an extra backer. I said, what are they doing? We got extra backer. What is this? And then he go out there and get an interception for a touchdown. We were like, man, we love extra backer.
That's a good call, Coach.
Yeah, we got to put that in more often. Yeah, it was instantly he knew how to make plays with his, background as a former safety in college.
Yep.
Then moving to linebackers senior year really benefited him a lot.
Could you imagine that dude
and his athleticism and speed and everything else? Yeah,
and long arms and just you couldn't throw it over.
People underestimate. He was kind of a freakish athlete too.
He was.
Well, how about this? All guys go in the first round are pretty much freakish athletes. That don't mean they're, better football players.
Yeah.
But their upside is for sure there to get there because of their athleticism.
And he was the rare both. Mm-hmm. He was a great football player who was a great God-blessed athlete too. KB for sure.
2000 team was better.
So 99 9-2, 2000 9-2, 2003 they started 9-2. That was the year they got out to that Freezer Bowl in New England and lost at the end of the game. That was such a great game.
That was a good team too.
And then 2008, which is we all kind of look to 99 and 2000, I think historically, because if you just ask me what's the best Titans team, I'm always it's 2000, it's 2000's team. Too many of you guys.
Everybody's going to say 99 just because we went to Super Bowl.
Right. But when you talk to the players, all of you say 2000. Every one of you. But the doggone 2018.
No, the A team I thought was going to go. I thought they were going to go all the way. I really did.
Chris Johnson ran all over the Ravens in the first half. Then they about broke his foot off of his leg at the end of the first half.
Twisted at the bottom of a pile.
And then at the end of the game, they had a play that went like 2.5 seconds after the play clock ran down, but it was so loud.
Here at home, too.
Yeah, here at home.
I was standing right there on the sideline. I was just living. I wanted to run on the field, but I knew I'd get in trouble.
I wish you would have. 'Cause at least that would have stopped play, and they would have.
I might have pulled a Stoops, man. And they would have been like, "What's wrong with this guy?" Yeah. Well, they already said that, so.
Well, I mean,
yeah. That was a good old day. So that shows how much success they're having.
It's the fifth time in 25
with
years
all
of
those
Tennessee
injuries
football,
that you've
Oilers
been
and
talking
Titans.
about.
Yes. So, and it's not like they're doing this with a fully healthy team. They just beat Los Angeles without the King and without Lawan and without Nate Davis and with the Greg Maben was a cornerback off the street. So Chris Jackson is this nickel who played outside with Jack Rabbit. So no Maben, no Fulton. No
Rashawn Evans.
No Rashawn Evans.
He was a starter.
Who's a starter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one thing after another. But they're doing it with all those injuries, and it's the fifth time. And I would even include the 2 Tennessee Oiler years because the Tennessee Oilers didn't start 7-2. No. So in the history of Titans/Oilers football in this state, this is the 25th year. It's the fifth time this has happened. So
now here's the question though: where did all those teams finish?
Oh, I got that.
Oh,
I knew you were
great
gonna ask.
minds think alike.
Well, you've asked me enough follow-up questions that I'm like, I need to have the follow-up. I knew this. I wrote it down.
I don't even know the answer to it. That's why I asked, because I'm like, man, okay, 99 went to Super Bowl. 2000, we got beat in the second round.
Division round, lost to the Ravens. 2003, lost in the division round at New England.
Right.
And second round, 2008, got the bye again, lost to the bleep Ravens.
Dang.
In the division round. Division round. So made to the Super Bowl, then the next 3 were all in division round.
So which is the second round, right?
Second round of the playoffs. Yep.
Ooh,
and then a lot of
we had home field, and we got the bye on most of those teams, right?
Yep, 2000, that was a loss at home to the Ravens. In 2003, that was the second game. They beat somebody to then go to New England.
Oh, right.
That was at New England, and 2008, that was at home as well. And so I told you I was talking about this with somebody this morning. He goes, 2002. I said, no, man, they started bad. That team, they were 6-5, and then won every other game all the way to the AFC title game, which they lost out on the coast. All right, we promised we'd take these calls. Let's jump to the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Kelly in Kentucky, and then Jason Hold will get to you next. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good.
Hey, we're doing great, man.
Hey, I know y'all just had a call about A.J. Brown a few minutes ago. That guy has really been putting this Titan he about the hamstring, there's no way. That's a concentration. Like was said, that man has been putting the team on his back like Greg Jennings. Some of y'all might get a kick out of that. I don't know. But, man, this dude has been putting the team on his back. The defense stepping up. Man, it's just great to be a Titans fan right now. We're watching them take out teams that were considered big contenders. Titans by 90 for the rest of the season. I'm calling it now. They're going to go get home field advantage. Tennessee, Nashville, stand up. It's going crazy, man. We just got a defense going good. Jim Schwartz is there. Bowen. I don't know what they're doing, but they got them guys playing ball. Autry, Simmons. We got plenty big injury. Next man up. That's what's been said all week. That's all my time. Y'all go ahead, have fun with it. Let's go Titans.
Man, appreciate the phone call, Kelly. Like the, I mean,
just think about A.J. Brown versus the Colts this second go round here in Indianapolis. He literally run the game, like his performance. So that's why when you see the drops, and he's had some this season, you let him slide, but you say something to him, and we got to work on them hands. We got to work on concentration. That's it. That's it, because he's winning games too now.
Oh,
Let's
gosh,
not
yes.
forget.
Yep.
That's why you give him the attaboy or, a little leeway.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Let's get Jason real quick before we take this break. And Coach Mack will join us next. What's going on, Jason?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Beautiful day.
Hey, I just have a quick question. I guess in Blaine's time back in the day, they were more tough and more grit to want to play football. I just want to talk about Taylor Lewan. I know y'all talked about him before. How you cannot be on the injury report all week, and then all of a sudden, 5 minutes before the game, you're just like, nah, I don't feel like playing. I'm going to sit this one out. And then they pan a camera to him, and he's just cracking up and joking on the sidelines like, nah, I just didn't drop out of this game for my team. Maybe it's just back in the day, Blaine's team would never have done that. But I seem like this generation is just like, if they don't really feel it, they're just not going to do it. And Taylor Lewan just really struggled with it all year. It's like 5 minutes before the game, he's like, nah, I'm not going to play today. And I just want to know, is this a generational thing, or is this just like maybe he is hurt and we just don't know, or what's going on?
Well, this team is actually pretty tough. I would put it up there with one of the tougher teams over the last decade. Let's just say that. Just their mental toughness, their fortitude to come back after games. They're tough. And I would say Lawan is a tough guy. He's not just saying, "Oh, I can't play." It's just not that simple. Obviously, the training staff and the coaching staff are working hand in hand, watching him because of the extent of his injury, the ACL. And then, every now and then it just maybe flares up. I have no idea. I'm not over there. I don't know anybody over there to have those kind of conversations. And so I think they say it's probably best that we have someone start the game and play and use them in an emergency situation because of it. Now, one thing he is unaware of to me, and that goes to what he's saying is not to say that you can't enjoy yourself watching a game, but just know all eyeballs are watching you on the sideline when you're not playing, especially a high-profile player like yourself and Taylor Lewan. So I think that's the part that, kind of takes people the wrong way, even though it's unintentional on his part. He's just standing there watching the game, and somebody may have said something funny or, cracked a joke. We don't know. They might have passed gas. I have no idea, and laughed about it, doing guy stuff. Yeah, I think it gets an unfair rap, but also at the same time, with attention comes criticism. And you got to know that.
I wanted to look, too, and I was scrolling on to find this. He was on the injury report last week. Knee.
He was limited.
He was limited. He was limited on Thursday.
He's not just showing up at the game. I can't go.
No, he's not doing that.
Not happening.
He was limited Thursday. Then he did not practice on Friday, and they made him questionable for the game.
Right there. And some coaches, they will be like, "Well, if he didn't practice Friday and it's a previous injury, it's not one that you say, he can fight through this."
Right.
Well, we have to consider him not playing. What are our options? Now, I Lamb didn't even go, right? Or was he? He was inactive anyway.
Yep. He was
so your options were limited. So I think they were to some point. We rather go with the youngster and use Lawan in an emergency situation is what my guess would be, and hopefully we don't have to play him, and we'll survive. And maybe he'll have another week to really get back right. So I don't know what he's doing. When you have an ACL, it can go up and down and swell up. You can just wake up and it just it's swollen. You're like, oh, uh-oh. So this is something you just don't really. You want it to go away, and it has its own mind, so it's not going to just go away. So at least he's been honest with the training staff and the coaching staff, and not trying to put the team in a bad situation. Oh, by the way, no, and he knows this. You play injured. Nobody's saying you're injured.
Right.
So don't make care he was on the injury report. And if he thinks that he's going to have a bad day, who are we playing? The Rams. They got some pretty good pass rushers. It was highly likely that he could look pretty bad with a bad,
bad wheel.
Yeah. Yep.
Coach Mack's only got 2 good wheels. I think he enjoyed this win on Sunday night. If you listen to Titans Radio, you know this gentleman enjoyed that game, and he will join us to talk all about it and to look ahead because the Saints are coming to town next. Coach Mack joins us next on Blaine and Mickey.
It's homecoming on Rocky Top, and the Vols have a date with the #1 team in the country, the Georgia Bulldogs. Coverage starts with Will Bowling and Ron Slay, Saturday at noon, with kickoff at 2:30 on your home for the Vols. 104.5, The Zone.
You're right. I had a really good time. I mean, I had a really good time because going in there, you know, just look, I know everybody there. I mean, I worked for that organization for a long time, and especially now that they're out there in LA and Hollywood, and they embrace all of that, which is rightfully so. But I mean, and especially with the news, you know, going out there that we weren't going to have Derrick Henry. I mean, you really got the feeling when you entered the building, and just, you know, getting off the bus, I talked to a lot of people. I know all the people that work in the building, you know, there. They brought them all to work. Anyway, you got the feeling that, you know, well, you guys are here and you guys are having a nice year, but it's too bad that you lost Derrick Henry. And by the way, we're really good. And plus, this is Sunday night football, and we've got everything going on around here. You know, Isaac Bruce, great player, great person, is going to, you know, we're bringing back the Hall of Famers. We're going to give him his ring. And then we're going to continue to play on this video board. The Rams win over the Titans in the Super Bowl continuously. Mike Keith said it very well. He said, while they spent time celebrating the past, the Titans were working in the future. And so it made me very happy. And it reminded me a lot of, you know, you schedule somebody on homecoming and you have the parade and everybody's feeling good, and all of a sudden you go out there and get your face kicked in.
Well, the defensive line coach have been such a good story. That front four, they got pressure again with four, and, you know, Big Jeff, just what a coming out party for that rascal, as well as Danico and the other guys. But what a fantastic effort by the front four.
Well, and look, it you know, and you're right. I mean, those guys, but they've been doing it, you know, for a minute now. Once
Yes,
they had
they have.
everybody pulled back together on there, and that's important. I mean, the sack that he made on Stafford in the end zone, that was a three-man game. I don't know what they call it, but out of the four-man rush, we used to call it a tango, where the tackle would come around the tackle in the end of the other side, going down and dragging the leverage down inside. And I mean, for a big man like that to wrap like that and still be able to get in there, they were very creative with their four-man games, and they just dominated them up front. And they were really smart. And Mike Vrabel said this. We talked about it on this show last week going in, that they needed to crush the inside of that cylinder, you know, to get to Stafford, because both their tackles, Havenstein and Whitworth, are big people. They're not real mobile, but they're big. It takes a long time to get around them. So the place to get to their quarterback is not to the edge. It's you got to crush the cylinder, and they crushed the cylinder. I mean, all four of those guys, there were really five or six of them that played, but what the show that they put on, I mean, wow.
Absolutely. Coach Dave McGinnis, every time he comes on with us, we say wow. He's brought to you by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Need great health care coverage and an affordable price? Let Farm Bureau Health Plans coach you through it. They got you covered, just like we're covered with the Mac Attack.
Yeah, man. It's so wow. Like, okay, give us an explanation of the stadium. I missed out. I don't know if Mickey asked you that, but how wow was the stadium that you helped build?
Yes.
It is stupendous. I mean, it's spectacular. It really is. When you're driving up into it, just the magnitude and the size of the property, you're like, whoa. You know, and when you and then the way that it's set up, it's beautiful. It is absolutely fabulous. And plus, you know, they've got NFL Network there now. It's a whole complex, but just every attention to detail is just beautiful. I mean, it's perfect. You know, when you're driving down underneath, Blaine, you know how the buses go underneath to let you off at the locker room? Well, see, the hole that they dug to put this stadium in, and let me give a reference point to it. The deepest hole, the Hunt Group out of Dallas did it. They also did AT&T. They did Jerry World. They did the one at Minnesota. They're also the same ones that did this. And so when we were up there meeting with them before all this went down, they said the hole in Minnesota was the biggest they'd dug for a stadium so far, 45 feet down to put pylons in. They dug 90 feet down for the pylons of this one, twice as deep. Jerry World, y'all have been in there, and some of our listeners have been in there. Jerry's World will fit inside of this one. Gives you some perspective as to what this is. And so when you're driving your buses down to get to you feel like you're going into Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico. I mean, you're going so far down. I mean, we were driving down in the buses, and I was going, whoa, how deep are we getting? It's spectacular. It's beyond description. And I was talking to some of the Rams people today. They called to congratulate me, and I said, hey, that stadium is spectacular. They said, you know, Coach Mack, you really can't explain it to anybody until they've been here and have seen it. It is really something.
Man. We are with Coach Mack giving us the Mack attack out there in L.A. I guess, Coach, I want you to take us through, and I'm sure you've watched the film, of the Byard interception that he had and what it takes to, for a player to even do what he did.
Well, you played back there in the post, and you know what it's like. And here it was. This was film study. This was the route combination that he recognized. This was all directional delivery key. And let's talk ball a little bit. You know what directional delivery key is for everybody else. And if you're playing the middle of the field safety, whether you're playing man or zone, you're still the middle of the field, safety. And a lot of the stuff you do is off the direction of the quarterback. The directional key is which way his shoulder finally starts to point. But the delivery key, you never break until that front hand comes off the ball. But if you've got a really good idea where it is going, and see, he was able to avoid an area and make a decision that he knew right where it was going. He broke perfectly on the directional delivery key. The pass was thrown out and away to the sideline, and he made a really good hands, high point catch to go get it. But that was middle of the field safety, directional delivery key, film study, 101 to the best, to the ultimate. And that's what shocked Stafford. He couldn't believe the guy was there. I mean, he couldn't believe he was there because he thought he had the outcut, thrown over there to the sideline. Beautiful play. And it just compounds what Byard has been doing this year. He's playing at an all-pro level. Let's just get that out of the way. But that was a huge, huge play. But it all came from film study and then being able to be confident enough in your film study to pull the trigger. And so all of that came together. I loved watching it. I really did.
Yeah, I get chill bumps just watching it because there's parts in, you go throughout your career. I could never have done something like that in that kind of spotlight because he saw it earlier in the game and didn't go after it, and he missed it. He's like, oh, I'm getting that next time. Let me see. And so I watched him. I was just like, oh, man, that is so awesome. And the reason why I bring it up, he is now at 23 interceptions, I think. Is that about right, Coach? And
I don't know.
If he gets
to
to
the number.
30, then the consideration for Hall of Fame will start to be coming into the equation. You get to 30, that's the number.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, you're right. The thing I like about Kevin Byard is he is so now focused that it is amazing. And he is – we've known his leadership capabilities. And last year, to his own admission, and in general, he did not have the type of year that he wanted to have because – he was probably trying to make up for a lot of other things that were going on around him. But this year he is so dialed in and so now focused that it is amazing the ball that he's playing. And I'll say this too, and I've said this before on this show, and I'll say it for our listeners. Mike Keith and Amy Wells and I, we're fortunate. We get to watch practice every day from start to finish. And the way this guy practices and the way this defense practices, guys, this goes clear back to the OTAs, and we were talking about the mindset that this defense was practicing with. You've got to practice with that type of mindset, and it has to permeate throughout your defense for you to be able to perform like that Sunday after Sunday after Sunday or Monday or whenever the hell you're playing. And that's what these guys are doing right now. But Kevin Byard, he is stepping up big time on a consistent basis. That's what I love about it. It's on a consistent basis.
Always coming from, Kevin Byard. But can this defense, especially that front four, if they stay healthy, can they consistently play at this level, Coach Mack?
Yeah, well, if they stay healthy, they absolutely can. And the key has been this four-man rush. And look, it's a numbers game, but you know this as well as I do. And here's the deal. If you can all the great defenses I've coached on in my career and been fortunate enough to be involved with, we were the best when we could put pressure with four, and then whether you're playing man or zone, if you can cover with seven. If you're playing zone, they've got five eligible. You can play 4 over 3, 3 over 2. If you're playing man, then you can double people. You can rob people. You can play low hole robber. You can play high hole rat. You can do whatever you want to do. You can double people across. Anything you want to do if you've got 7 to do it with. But the key to that is you have to be able to get pressure with 4 that gets people off the spot so they can't hold it forever. And so that's what they have been able to do recently is get pressure with 4. If they stay healthy, there's no reason they can't continue to do it.
Well, Coach, you just made me think of a question. And that is, you've been on some phenomenal defenses. We can just start with the 85 Bears, right? Okay. Where would you rank in a half by defensive tackle the performance, and I don't even rank. Have you ever seen a performance and name the player that had a half like Jeffrey Simmons?
Well, I mean, I mean, I've been who've I
Been on
been
some
involved
great
with?
teams
Dan
now.
Hampton,
I know.
Dan Hampton, Steve McMichael.
Okay, I know. I said outside of the Bears.
Let's keep rolling. Eric Swan at the Cardinals is a great defensive tackle. You know, by the way, was just a bear
I
on
know
two
he was.
legs
I
out
remember.
there. Okay,
He had 3 sacks and a half.
Let's go to Albert Haynesworth. His two contract years. How he was playing.
Yes.
Let's go to Aaron Donald, the dude that Jeffrey Simmons, you know, was playing across the field from. But this performance on that big a stage, huge. I mean, look, the guy was dominant. He'd had a 4th sack too, you know, if they hadn't, you know. But not only that, is he was taking grown men and pushing them back into a 7-step drop quarterback and sacking the quarterback with a grown man's behind. I mean, it was amazing.
He was on roller skates, that offensive guard there, whoever it was, man. That looked horrible. Man, we on with Coach Mack giving us the Mack attack, man. All right. What is, this team going to do as far as the offense? And I'm specifically talking about Lawan missing again, and how much concern is there as a coach, a former coach, that, your best tackle is in and out of the lineup for whatever reason with his injury, and not being able to depend on your anchor at the offensive line. Is it concerning?
Well, you just got to put, I mean, look, I give this offensive line so much credit.
Yeah.
And you're right, Lawan hasn't been able to play. We know why he hasn't been able to play. It's his knee, then he had a concussion, and then, so if you're not able to play, then the next person has got to come in. But the offensive line that they have pieced together consistently throughout this year. Where are we sitting right now? We've played 77 different players after 9 games.
Easy.
And what is that? That's 6 or 7 away from the record for a 16-game season. The job that this football team has done overall in totality of plugging holes in the dike and continuing to win consistent games against really good teams, I mean, it's massive kudos to the coaching staff and to this locker room. It really is. And so, to me, the thing that points out is this, Blaine, you want all your good players playing, but if they can't, you don't just throw up your hands and say, what are we going to do? You say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get this guy ready, and then we're going to go and we're going to play, and we're going to win a game. And, until your guys are healthy, if they can't play, then somebody else has to step in and play. And so far, this football team this year, because of their mental and physical toughness, and it's legit. It's not just, they don't just say it. You can see it. You've seen it throughout the whole season. They just step in and say, we're going to go win the game, and then hopefully our players can come back, and when they do, then we'll be even better.
Yeah, we're on with Coach Mack giving us the Mack attack.
Coach, so there's not really a middle point. I guess halftime of Sunday night was the middle point of the season. But I'll just ask you this, for all the things that they're doing well, despite all the injuries, which has been amazing, do you have a biggest concern for this team right now, for the immediate future or for the second half of the season? Is there something that stands out to you that you say, boy, this is something they do need to fix?
Well, I mean, here's what this season is, especially now that we've got 17 games, and especially going through the injuries that this team has gone through. It's a series of 1-week seasons. That's what it is. And so I really don't ever even look ahead. I mean, I told you guys this last week, and the week before. I don't even look ahead to the schedule because you've got to just look at it week to week to week. And so the concern is clearly the injuries and who's going to be available. But as I say, I get to watch them practice, and my concern level goes real low once I watch them practicing, because they're just out there. They coach everybody up. Everybody that's on that field that has cleats and a helmet on, they coach up as if they are going to be the primary focus of the ball game. And guys, I'm not just saying that. I witness it. And that's what we're seeing. So I don't really worry about it, because worrying about it does zero. It's just like hope. Hope's not a strategy, right? You just got to do something about it, and that's what they've been doing.
What do you see with Dennis Allen's defense, man? They've been really good this year. They're number 1 in scoring defense. They're first against the run. Dennis Allen and his crew playing really well.
Before I jumped on with you guys, that's exactly what I was doing. I mean, they really are playing. You talk about a front 4 that can get it. They got a front 4 that can get it. And here's what Dennis Allen does now. and especially with this defense, if you don't block Demario Davis behind the line, he's going to make every tackle. All right, but this front, they're doing it with the front four,
man.
and especially on first and second down. They are playing the run and the passing game. With 7 in coverage and playing it with 4. And if you get third and chains, which to me, third and chains is 3rd and 7 plus against this group, he gets really creative on third down with his pressures. But they are playing such consistent good ball. And look, Sean Payton has flipped the switch now. He doesn't have Drew Brees. Then he got Jameis hurt. And so what he's done now, Sean Payton has started playing to the strength of that defense. He's running the ball. He's turning around, handing the ball off to Kamara, and handing the ball off to Ingram. He's running the football now, playing to the strength of that defense. Sean Payton's one of the best coaches in the league, and one of the reasons is he adapts to his personnel and what they're doing. But this defense, they're a top 10 defense. They're number 1 in certain categories for a reason. They have got some dudes up front that are really playing well, and as a result, the other people at the second and the third level are playing really good football. I'm impressed when I watch him. But if you don't keep the chains in your favor as an offense against the defense we're getting ready to play on Sunday out here with the Saints, you got a problem, because now they're really going to light it up.
Hey, I'd appreciate if you always said Arkansas State's Demario Davis, Coach. We need all the advertising we can get right now. It's been a tough season for my squad.
Mickey, he was at Arkansas State, and that's my apologies to you, Arkansas State, and Demario Davis, because I know he's a proud alumni.
Well, he is about as proud as I am. Hey, Coach, great stuff as always. It was a lot of fun listening to you and Mike call that game, and it always is, and you guys are the best in the business, and we always appreciate this visit with you.
Guys, I always enjoy coming on with you. See ya.
Yes, sir. The one and only Coach Mack. All right, when we return, we got a poll out there on Blaine and Mickey Twitter, at Blaine and Mickey. Who do you give the most credit for with the Titans' resurgent defense this year? We have never had one that was this close. You got 4 choices, and somebody, Andy, I think, actually added a 5th choice, which we were both like, that's interesting. We'll share the results. You can go vote right now. Twitter, at Blaine and Mickey. We'll give you that next. Also, Gary in Nashville wants to talk a little Titans. We'll talk to him on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline.
Brett Doherty, Don Davenport, and Ron Slay give you compelling things in sports to think about, along with, other things.
So you count eggs as poultry because it comes from a chicken? Is it not protein? You got to answer the question.
No, I feel like you're finagling.
No, I'm not. You got to answer the question, Babs. Is chicken and eggs the same thing?
No.
When Rocky says, I'm going to take a glass of protein, what does he get? Oh, he did get an egg. Wrong. You're all welcome. Nashville and everyone listening, you're all welcome.
The 3HL, today, starting at 3 on 104.5 The Zone.
Nobody will be yelling or anything.
Nope, they'll just be having a good time.
Party to the tardy.
They will be partying for sure. Gary in Nashville is partying on our Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Tell you about this poll at Blaine and Mickey right quick, but let's get Gary in first. Gary, thanks for calling.
Yeah, I just sorry I didn't get there early enough for the coach to comment, but I've been thinking about what's happened with Derrick Henry being gone. It just occurred to me that this gives the offense 30 snaps a game additional that aren't going to go to Derrick Henry.
Oh, man.
And,
did Mickey call you and tell you that? Because he said that yesterday. That exact same quote. 30 plays.
Great minds think alike, Gary.
You know, you multiply that by 6 or 7 games, you know, you got 200 or more additional opportunities for somebody. Mm-hmm. And I just, you know, I just look forward to the team that emerges at the end of this being a much better, more complete and diverse offense than we will have had. When Henry comes back, it's going to be like
even better.
You know, home run for him all the time because there's so many good other options around him at that point.
Yeah. Well, it's exactly.
You old rascal. I like the way you think there.
Yeah, that's what you said, and I've been saying immediately when he got injured that this could make the team a better complete team than just a one-man show.
And you said don't freak out because I'm saying that he's still the best player. We all acknowledge that. But this makes everybody else step up.
And that's when I went into the example of when we didn't have McNair the year we went to the Super Bowl, and he didn't start the first 5 games because he had back surgery, and Neil O'Donnell went 4-1. Oh, my bad. The Tennessee Titans went 4-1.
Right. And what was the first thing that you just said? That was the year we went to the Super Bowl. Now, think about that.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't a running back, Eddie George. That was the quarterback, Steve McNair. Missed 5 games to start the season, and Neil O'Donnell was like, I got y'all. And the team stepped up and played great around him.
Mm-hmm.
4-1 start. Yeah. Most teams would completely lose their, you know what, if the quarterback goes down. Titans made the Super Bowl that year. Mm-hmm. People stepped up, played their role, played a little bit more when they needed to.
But if the quarterback went down with the Titans, knock on wood, though, I think I would lose my name. You know what?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Logan Woodside era begins.
You can manage through 3 guys and get them touches as far as replacing Henry, and that shows his value, just that alone. And none of them will even equal him. So other players are going to rise to the occasion. Offensive line, defensive line, the whole entire team. It's never on one person, which is they heavily, relied on him. And now you don't. It's everybody. Rise up.
Well, defense has been rising up. So our director of content, Blaine Bishop, said, let's put this out there for people. I mean, he's a great director of content. Let's ask, who gets the most credit from you for this Titans defense? And I looked, because I wrote this down. Titans are 14 in scoring defense, 23.4 points per game. But here's where they shine. Defense is tied for the most sacks in the NFL with 23. Harold Landry's tied for 3rd in the league with 9. Big Jeff has 5.5. D'Amico has 5. Ola has 2.5. Bud Dupree only has 1. Imagine when he gets 2 legs going. Landry's tied for 3rd with the most quarterback hits. Audrey is tied for 7th for the most quarterback hits. And they're the only interior defenders with 40-plus quarterback pressures this season. They're on the Titans. Jeff Simmons and Jeffrey Simmons. I'm sorry. One of them is on the Titans, Jeffrey Simmons. The other one is Aaron Donald, the only interior defenders. So we asked this question, who gets the most credit? And we're very limited on characters. So here's what we said. Shane Bowen. You guys said 25%. Yeah, Shane.
The DC.
Jim Schwartz. We don't even know what Jim Schwartz does. We don't know
He's an assistant to the assistant.
He got more points than Shane Bowen. He got 28%. Him in the building.
He got more.
He got more points than the actual DC. I don't know. It's y'all's poll.
Well, this is not a poll if you like somebody more than the other person.
Don't be a poll assassin. Here we go. Jim Schwartz, 28%. So then I don't know how to put this guy limited characters. J-Rob / new players added because he's the GM and he adds them.
He did ask us.
That got 30%.
Okay.
Uncle J-Rob.
Uh-huh.
So then all that's left is whoever was left returning players. That only got 17%. That included Big Jeff and Byard.
Oh, my.
So Shane Bowen gets 25%. Schwartzy, 28%. We don't know what he does, but he's doing it. J-Rob, new players added 30%. That's number 1 right now. Returning players improve. That's all I ran out of characters there, but just them playing better. But anyway, that got 17%. Scoot Man says if Bowen was getting the blame last year, how can he not get the credit this year?
Right. Yeah.
And then Andy said all of the above, including Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, and I would agree with that right there. Mm-hmm. But the Titans' win streak since week 5 in the NFL ranking, wins first with 5. Points per game, 32, third. Point differential, 60, first.